Welcome to Eye on Horror, the official podcast of iHorror.com. This is episode 133, otherwise known as season 7, episode 14. I think we have those numbers right. I don't know. It gets a little difficult to keep track these days. I am your host, James J. Edwards, and with me, as always, is your other host, Jacob Davison. How you doing, Jacob?
Doing good. Happy that it's once again overcast in the city.
Oh, yeah. It's. I actually had to put a sweater on. It's a little cold today, which it has been in the
It actually
hundreds.
feels like fall for once.
Yeah, yeah, it does. Also with us, as always, is your other host, John Correia. How you doing, Correia?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. Just getting over my this year's bout of COVID, which was real fun. Yeah, it's great being immunocompromised and like getting COVID on the one day you leave the house that week. So yeah.
It sounds like it hit you hard. When I got it earlier this year, it just kind of felt like a bad cold,
Yeah.
but it sounded like it knocked you on your ass.
Yeah, the first time I got it, it was like 2 days of me on my ass, and then was downgraded to a cold. Second time I had like no symptoms, but this time I don't know what it is because I'm up on everything. We were actually just planning our next bout of vaccines. But anyways, yeah, it knocked me on my ass. I was like, went Sunday through Wednesday. I was like on the floor of my office, full on like in Train Spotting when he's getting sober and the baby's crawling across the screen. Um, Except my fever dreams were mostly around the movie Bottoms for some reason. I think it's because I wanted to watch Bottoms and I kept like kind of fever tripping that I was watching Bottoms, but I wasn't. It was really weird. But I did rewatch Bottoms once I got better, and god damn, that movie's still so fucking good.
I have been having I mentioned last time that I've been binging through the 100, and I'm in the middle of the fourth season, and let me tell you, or excuse me, I'm in the middle of the fifth season, and the beginning of the fifth season, Fonzie put on his skis. It is getting real close with this show, but it's gone now to more like a Lost meets Game of Thrones kind of thing. And I actually have dreams about this damn show, when because I watch it generally, I watch a few episodes before I go to sleep at night, and it embeds in my subconscious, I think, because I start dreaming about it. But we're not going to talk about the 100 or Bottoms. We're going to talk about movies. It's been a while since we talked, but I think the big release that we've all seen is Beetlejuice, right?
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, it was a while ago, but what'd you guys think?
I thought it was great. I wouldn't have expected a Beetlejuice sequel after 30 something years would have been as good as it was, but Tim Burton got his groove back with this. It was a lot of fun, and Michael Keaton was on point, of course.
Yes, he
Also
was.
loved how practical effects heavy it was. They really kind of went back to the source.
Not just Michael Keaton, but Catherine O'Hara
Oh, yeah.
is
Ugh.
she kind of steals the movie for me. I thought she
She's a
was
powerhouse.
so awesome. And it's funny because there's a what is, I don't even remember the guy's name. The guy that they didn't invite back, the dad.
Oh, Jeffrey
Jeffrey
Wright.
Jones.
Yeah,
Jeffrey
yeah,
Jones,
because
yeah.
of personal life stuff.
Well, crime.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true. More than just personal life stuff. But the way they dealt with the way they explained his character's death was actually pretty hilarious.
Well, actually, I found out that the explanation for his death because they not only avoided him, they did like a whole stop motion claymation thing with him, and the whole plot of like what they did to off his character, I guess, is reference or leftovers from back with the Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian script that was around in the 90s and whatnot. And like that was supposed to be like the kind of setup for that sequel. So I thought that was really fun. But yeah, I was a little worried about like them possibly doing too much with that. But it was some great bits because like how you have to address the elephant in the room. And yeah, Jeffrey Jones is a piece of shit. So like who got arrested for piece of shit crime. So yeah, you can't have him back.
But like you said, they have to address the fact that he's not there, and rather than just kind of make it oh, he died, and then not mention it again. Like you said, they did this whole little stop motion thing. It's kind of funny that they didn't even they did do a stop motion that was obviously him. They didn't they didn't invite him back to shoot, and they did it animation rather than have the real guy there, which
Oh,
that's the best case scenario.
and they show him in the afterlife, but he just like doesn't have a head. So it's just like a headless body walking around the whole time.
I don't know if it's been long enough that we could spoil that, but basically he gets bit in half by a shark, and all you see is his body with no head, with like the shark mouth,
Which is great.
which is pretty
Yeah,
awesome.
and he speaks for like his esophageal tube just poking out.
Yeah. No, I really like Beetlejuice. I had a lot of fun with it. I especially really like that it focused on like, three generations of women, and it was weird. It felt like there was too much plot, but there was also not enough plot. But also like it was just setting up set piece for set piece. But like you know what, it was a lot of fun, so I forgive the shit out of it. And I think the main thing that I had issues with was because one of the many plots in it is that Winona Ryder's character's husband, who's the father of her daughter, died years ago, and that's something that they're trying to work through. And like they don't really do anything. Like it's such an important plot point, and then they don't really do anything with him. Like there's no real catharsis. There's no real thing. There's no. I don't know. It just kind of felt like they dropped the ball on that one.
Well, he saves them.
Yeah, although I think it's just there was too much going on, and like the payoffs didn't really pay off as well as they could have because yeah, it's just too much going on and not enough time to really delve into every plot line.
That's what it was. It felt like the next three Beetlejuice sequels all in one movie because there was just so much going on, and that was actually my issue with it. Similar to what you're talking about. There was so many subplots that I don't think any of them really got adequately resolved. And the one thing that bothers me is that the stepdad, like, no,
Justin Theroux's character.
yeah, I don't really want to go into too much detail for people who haven't seen it, but at one point, like something happens to him and nobody cares.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
wait a minute. This is her. They actually weren't married. Part of one of the plots is they're gonna get married on Halloween. He was her fiance. He was Winona Ryder's character's fiance. But it was like, okay, nobody's bummed about this. All right. I mean, he was kind of a douche, but okay.
Yeah. I will say though, there are some people that say Monica Bellucci didn't really have anything and that she's just in it because she's with Tim Burton. And I will fight anyone on that because Monica Bellucci, first of all, her whole scene coming back and the cameo with her putting herself together was amazing. Because I didn't know he was in the movie. She came to serve. She just came in. She served mother. She served face. She did her thing and got out. And I fucking loved it.
That was one of the plots that I was like, okay, you know what? You could have, and this is what I think people mean by, I don't think it's anything against her, but it's the writing. You could have pulled that whole subplot out of the movie and it wouldn't have mattered. And I think that would have made like that would have made another sequel. I think that was just one of the issues with like too many subplots crammed into one movie because that was one of the ones I feel like didn't really pay off.
But then again,
Yeah.
it's still a lot of fun.
But she was great.
Yeah.
She was great. And like you said, I love the part, she's stapling herself back together. And, I mean, it was, it was great visually and it's a great character. I just didn't think they did what they should have. I don't think they did enough with her. I think that I would rather have seen a third movie with that being the main plot. So, yeah.
Also, I hope that Beetlejuice gets more kids into Mario Bava.
Yeah. And so I lost it when they had the poster for Kill Baby Kill in the background. That was great. Oh, so good.
Another thing that I think all three of us have seen, and this I really want to talk about this because this might be my new favorite movie of the year. Strange Darling.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was a blast.
Dude, this movie goes hard. This is so, and it's kind of a funny story about how I saw it because they didn't screen it for press at all, and it was on my radar because it's getting kind of a lot of chug on the internet. And one of my friends and colleagues in the Film Critics Society, he actually called me when he's getting out of it. And he said, he's all, dude, this is up your alley. You have to see this movie. You have to see it. And I'm like, well, yeah, it's on my radar. I'll see it eventually. I'll see it eventually. Well, a couple of days later, he texts me, and this was Labor Day. So he's like, look, it's playing at 3:20 today. And I was like, well, I can't do it. I can't do it, this afternoon. Well, he texts me a few hours later and goes, 8:20 tonight. He basically made me go see this movie. And I went and saw it with him. And he was 100% right. And I think part of it, why he wanted me to go see it with him is because he wanted the same reason that I saw Hereditary on opening night after seeing the press screening. He wanted to see my reaction to it with him. He was knowing what was going to happen and he wanted to see my reaction, and he was 100% right. This movie is like, don't research anything about it if you haven't already, and just go see it because it'll knock your socks off. It is so. Here's kind of what you're in for. It says at the beginning, it says Strange Darlings, a thriller in 6 chapters, and then the next title card says chapter 3. That's how you know what you're in. It kind of Pulp Fiction's around the timeline a little bit. And that's the only way it works, because there are things that happen in chapter 2 that are better if you've already seen chapter 5. It's, oh my God, it's insane though.
And it was shot on 35 millimeter, and I was lucky enough to be able to see it play on 35 millimeter at the Hollywood Vista Theater while it had its run there. And it is just a beautifully shot and colorful movie. So it was definitely best to see it theatrically if you had the chance.
It almost feels like it's like a spiritual soulmate to In a Violent Nature in some ways, because it has that like Oregon woods, thing happening for it.
Wait, was it Oregon or Oklahoma? I can't remember.
Oregon is where Strange Darling is. I don't remember if In a Violent Nature was Oregon, but because there's like a title card at the beginning that says, this is the serial killer who went up through, I think they started in Oklahoma, went up through Idaho and ended in Oregon. Right. Yeah, that's what they said. Yeah. So it does tell you that they end, what you're watching happens in Oregon.
It's really dope. And I got to say, the out of order chapter thing made me kind of not eye roll, but put me on caution, because I'm like, oh man, is this another? Because remember in the 90s when there was all those Pulp Fiction knockoffs, and like, so a bunch were good, but a bunch were just like, just stop already. And so I was a little on edge of just like, oh no, is this going to be like that? But I thought it was so well executed. And the reason why it worked so well is because of the performances of Willa Fitzgerald and Kyle Gallner. Especially Willa Fitzgerald, who absolutely blew me away in Fall of the House of Usher last year. And she's just so phenomenal in this movie. Like it really came down to like, if she couldn't pull off the nuances of this final girl lady character, then this film would not have worked. And she was just so fucking good.
Yeah, this movie, it's I almost don't want to talk about it because people need to.
The less you know, the better it is.
Exactly. Yeah. But again, I want to talk about it because it's so damn good.
Yeah. So go see it. Maybe minisode at some point. I don't know.
I was going to say we might need to do a spoilery minisode just so we can talk about some of the fun stuff that happens in it. But
versus those.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, another new one that just came out. I don't know. Have you guys seen The Front Room?
No.
No. I did see a trailer for it when I was at Strange Darling with Josh, the Front Room. That's the only time I see trailers, is when I accidentally see them like that. So I did see a trailer for it, and it looks like it looks like some pretty good hag exploitation.
Oh, let me tell you, I love y'all know me. I love hag exploitation.
Yeah.
Give me all
your hags.
Whatever Happened to Baby Jane's and all the other movies that are like long sentences that are question marks at the end. Absolutely love it. But the front room is directed by Max and Sam Edgars, who is Robert Eggers half brothers.
Huh.
So you get
Yeah.
two Eggers for the price of one. Um, and it stars Brandy as like the lead wife who has her mother-in-law played by Catherine Hunter, who Catherine Hunter is incredible. I still need to see the tragedy of Macbeth because I hear she plays an amazing witch in that one.
Oh, that's what she's from. Yeah, no, yeah, she, those were some great witches in that movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
Oh, yeah.
I just saw that one clip where she's like laying down on the sand and is doing a lot of this, that, and I was like, oh
Oh,
man, I need to
yes.
see this fucking movie. But she is incredible in the front room, and let me tell you, the film itself, it's one of those, I want to say it's an actor's movie because her and Brandy are just carry that entire film, and their interactions and Catherine Hunter just like absolutely like bringing such dimensions to her hag character while also serving some of the best one liners in it. Like there's whole bits where because it's about the guy's father dies and he had a very rough childhood with his stepmother, and like the contingency of like them getting the inheritance is letting her move in, and as soon as she moves in she's like pressuring religion on them. There's like subtle hints of like racism with her
I was gonna
and
say it sounds like
Brandy.
she's racist towards Brandy too.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
no like overt. It's all like subtle things. So there's a lot of like things where it's just like, oh, is she fucking with him? And then like, yeah, it of course continues to escalate to
The trailer
crazy.
doesn't make it look subtle at all. I mean,
It starts subtle and then
okay.
it doesn't. But it's really good. There's but it's very grounded. It doesn't. I feel like the trailer makes it seem like it's going to become some like Rosemary's Baby finale or something, but it really isn't. It's really just like if you've ever had to deal with like elderly folks with declining health, both mental and physical, it takes those to the extremes, but like it's just really good. I highly recommend it as like when it comes to, because I think it went to theaters and then bailed out pretty quick because not a lot of people are seeing it, but
It's already on VOD. It's you can already
yeah.
see it at home. So yeah, they didn't put it in, and it's A24, right?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah. So it's interesting that they didn't really give it much of a theatrical shot, but
yeah.
better for those of us who don't like to leave the house, I guess.
Yeah, oh, especially as since our crowd for it sucked. Like there was people in our row that would
Oh,
not
Yeah.
stop talking and giving commentary. I did not need an MST 3K style commentary throughout that movie. But I was given it against my will. But yes, I do highly recommend it, and I just can't wait to see what drag show performances come out of this because there's some iconic stuff of like Catherine Hunter with like two crutches, just like doing a dunk dunk across the room, and then she's like, "I made a mess." MESS mess, and she's got shit and piss all over her. Oh, drag queens will eat that up.
speaking of Catherine Hunter, and this isn't really horror, so I don't want to just take a whole lot of time, but it's definitely something people should keep an eye on. Megalopolis. Have you guys seen
Uh,
Megalopolis?
Not yet, but I do
Okay.
want to make my way out to see it soon.
This is see it on the biggest IMAX screen you can find because here's the thing with Megalopolis. If you're not familiar, it's Francis Ford Coppola's new movie, and he has been making this movie, developing and writing this movie since the early '80s. This is like a 40-year project for him. And the thing is with it, it is Catherine Hunter is actually is in it. She's one of the central figure's mother, but everybody and their mothers in this. But John Voight is in it. Shia LaBeouf is in it with the most amazing mullet wig. I mean, you thought the Love Lies Bleeding mullets were awesome. Oh, wait until you see Shia LaBeouf in Megalopolis. But Aubrey Plaza, our girl, is in it, and also Grace Vanderwall is in it. Their characters, Aubrey Plaza's character is Wow Platinum, and Grace Vanderwall's is Vesta Sweetwater. it's it's insane. But Adam Driver, Giancarlo Esposito, and Natalie Emmanuel are the three main leads, and it's kind of a telling of the fall of Rome kind of a thing. It's actually set in New Rome, which is a thinly veiled New York City. And this is just this massively ambitious movie. Story wise, it gets a little messy at times, but visually, it is a feast. And that's why you need to see it on a huge screen. I mean, the sets are just grandiose and the costumes are lavish and the visual effects are, I mean, it feels like a superhero movie without any superhero scenes. I mean, it's just this, massively surreal. It's eye candy. It's, and the cast is something that only Coppola could throw together. I mean, for this thing, I mean, like Dustin Hoffman has a bit part. You're like, what is that, Dustin Hoffman? So anyway, but yeah, Megalopolis. It's a not really horror, but and very of its time, considering it's been in the cooker for 40 years. It is there's a lot of what's going on today that you can see in this movie. There's something weird that happened at the screening I was at. I was at a screening that there was like a Q&A with Coppola, De Niro, and Spike Lee at the beginning. And I don't know if they're going to do this at every screening of it in theaters, but it was like a preview screening. And at one point, about halfway through the movie, there's like a press conference in the movie, and they had an actor stand up in the audience and use a mic and ask the question, and then Adam Driver on screen answered it. So it was like a multimedia kind of thing. And, and it was kind of interesting because where the actor was standing, Adam Driver was like looking at him like he was looking at him through the screen. It was really interesting. And I'm wondering how they're going to do that. If they're going to do that for every screening. I mean, do they have the budget to hire an actor to sit into every single screening of this damn movie everywhere? Or is there like a different cut that they're going to show? But it was really, it was kind of interesting. And it was about the halfway point of the movie where you're kind of, and not really losing interest, but settling in. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, now you got my attention again. It was kind of cool.
That's what I love about this era of Coppola, because Coppola is with his wine business and everything. He's at the point where he's like, you know what? I'm going to continue experimenting. Like, remember Twist?
Twixt.
Or Twixt. And how he traveled with that and would do live editing while Dan Deacon was live scoring that. Like, I gotta respect the shit out of Coppola for still trying to push the envelope on like what the theatrical experience is.
Yeah, and he talked about in the Q&A, he sold one of his wine businesses to finance Megalopolis, which he said that he got lucky because he basically sold it because his kids didn't want to run it and he wanted it to keep running. So he sold it in order for it to keep running, but he ended up getting enough money to make Megalopolis out of the deal. So so it ended up good on both fronts. The wine business keeps going and he got to make his passion project.
Which good for him, because I do remember that they were going to do Megalopolis in the early 2000s, and then 9/11 happened and that kind of like threw it, shut it down.
This movie has been being developed through some major life events. It's gone through, like you said, 9/11. It's gone through COVID. It's gone through the Trump presidency. I mean, this, and you can see all these influences in what goes on, but it is a retelling of the Catalanarian rebellion of the Roman Empire kind of a thing. Like the main characters are named Cicero and Catalina. So you can tell, if you know your Roman history, okay, this is where they're going with this, But it's also very Shakespearean in places. It's just a really ambitious and in some places indulgent movie. But I mean, he's Coppola. He can get as ambitious and indulgent as he wants,
It's his opus.
Yeah. He's one of the few filmmakers that will take, I mean, think how ambitious and indulgent Scorsese's been his last few movies,
Again, they deserve it.
Yeah, exactly. They're one of the few that can pull it off.
Absolutely.
And on my end, I saw a very unique theatrical screening. There's a new cut of Nosferatu going on where it's set entirely to the music of Radiohead. Have you guys heard about this?
Is this the original Nosferatu,
the original Nosferatu,
wow.
the F.W. Murnau Nosferatu with a all Radiohead soundtrack?
Okay.
It's amazing.
Is this existing Radiohead songs or radio?
Yes,
Like,
it is existing
okay,
Radiohead songs.
so Johnny Greenwood and Tom York didn't come out of retirement to, or or come out. They didn't bring the band back to do this.
No.
Okay.
It's made from two of their albums, Kid A and Amnesiac.
That's awesome. That sounds like how in the 80s there was that cut of
Metropolis score set to like Queen and Freddie Mercury.
yeah, that was produced by Giorgio Moroder.
I was going to say, didn't Moroder do that score?
Moroder,
But I
yeah.
guess maybe he just picked the songs.
Yeah, he produced it, and they did a bunch of like coloring and things of that nature. It's a fun cut. I love when those type of projects come about. Is Radiohead actually like involved with it, or is it somebody else got the rights? Or
I'm not entirely sure, but there it is. Like I said, from their albums, Kid A and Amnesiac, and it's this new company, Silent Synced, where they're gonna do like silent movies set to more modern music, and I think we'll focus on kind of alternate rock like Radiohead. I forget some of the other stuff they said they were going to have lined up, but yeah, no, but Nosferatu set to Radiohead was really mesmerizing. Like it really drew me in. And yeah, like and yeah, no, it's those albums, Kid A and Amnesiac. So unfortunately, no Creep, although that would have been perfect.
No, that's Pablo Honey.
Yeah.
So you're saying we're going to get a Battleship Potemkin set to Rage Against the Machine?
I'd watch that.
I would watch the hell out of that. Or even better, Strike set to Rage Against the Machine.
It could happen.
I just can't wait to see some like Buster Keaton set to like Billie Eilish or Charlie XCX or something. I think that would be pretty fucking great.
I'd like to see Buster Keaton set to Weird Al Yankovic.
I was just gonna say Weird Al.
Oh, the General set to Dare to Be Stupid. I mean,
Yeah.
come on, that would be fucking fantastic.
It's right there.
Remember how in Transformers the animated movie there was like a big action set piece set to Dare to Be Stupid?
Oh
like
yes.
Autobot, like this big epic battle fight scene, and you just hear Dare to Be Stupid. It's like, what is happening? What amazing!
It was a choice.
Jacob, I know you said you were thinking about participating, but are you participating in Hooptober this year?
Did it already start?
Yeah, it starts September 15th.
Oh, well, then I missed it.
Well, if you guys don't know, Hooptober is a 31 movies in 31 days for Halloween. But because, we're all adults and have schedules, you can start September 15th. So you still have time, Jacob, because you can technically start it October 1st or wherever. But they have a really great set of rules with it. That include 8 different countries, different decades, things of that nature. And so I started a bit earlier, and my COVID bout kind of helped out a little bit in getting a good rush. But, one of the requirements was to watch an entire franchise that had more than 4 movies. And so I went, you know what, this is a great opportunity to finally watch Critters, because I never watched the Critters movies.
You know what's funny? There's well, not me, my dog on Instagram. My dog follows this influencer in Canada who is also doing Hooptober, and she chose Critters as well. So it's kind of funny that Critters is like the franchise to choose. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh no, you're golden. I had so much fun with the Critters movies. I gotta say though, Critters 2, directed by Mick Garris, is the best of the franchise. It truly is the Gremlins 2 or Ghoulies 2 of the Critters franchise. Basically, if you have if your entire movie revolves around little shit creatures that are just like causing chaos, the second one is always going to be the best of the franchise, I think. And it's really good. The first 4, I had so much fun with them. They're such little shits. But yeah, that's there's been a lot of like good revelations with that. And timing wise, it worked out really well because 2 of my requirements ended up involving Michelle Sovey films, The Sect and The Church, which are just,
those are bangers.
Oh, they're such bangers. I mean, he really was like the last soldier on the island that's still fighting a war that ended a decade prior when it comes to Italian horror films in the 90s. Like those films, I have to admit, especially with those two, he really knows how to start a movie, usually with some form of a massacre, and then he knows how to end it. And then in between that is just weird, and choices are made, and they're so much fun. But those were perfect leads into watching Eight Eyes. Have you guys seen Eight
Oh
Eyes?
yeah, Eight Eyes. Yeah,
Not yet, but I've been meaning to. I saw they just added it to Shutter.
Yeah.
Eight Eyes is the culmination of two of our podcast friends, the Justins, Martell
Yeah.
and La Liberty.
Yeah. Yeah. It's based on a concept by Martel, who also produced it. It was one of like 3 or 4 films he produced out in Serbia.
I was gonna say hangs out. He hangs out in Serbia a lot because this one, is in. Does he know Serbian?
You'll have to ask him. I just know he knows how to get into all the countries that we don't know much about.
But it seemed like this one, the entire crew and some of the cast were all Serbian, and I'm like,
oh yeah.
How does he communicate? I mean, maybe they all know English. I would imagine that it's more likely that other countries would know English than we would know Serbian. But this is also Justin. I can see him knowing Serbian.
Oh, dude. I mean, he's told me some stories, and it's always great hearing whenever he comes from like some Western European country, or that was at one point under the Iron Curtains, and hearing like the stories of like generationals. And anyways, it's really phenomenal. Like I said, he produced it, but it's also a co-production with Vinegar Syndrome, so it's their first like in-house made
original
film.
Production.
Original, exactly. And it really it's just so much fun. It's right in those veins of those like 70s Italian horror films.
It's a complete 70s Italian horror film. It not really a rip, an homage, because it is, I mean, it's an original story. It's not, I mean, it doesn't like rip off the stories, but it rips off the look right down to the rotoscoping. It's insane.
Yeah, completely shot on film on 16 and 35 and all these other formats. But it's about an American couple that is vacationing in Serbia, and they meet this very charming but very menacing character named Saint Peter.
Was he really charming? He was kind of creepy, but he charmed them.
I'll admit, Justin sent me a cut of it about a year ago or so, and I watched it. And in the second viewing, like I really was mesmerized by Bruno, who played. My apologies, I will butcher if I try his last name, but the actor Bruno who played Saint Peter, by his performance, because he really was like. There was charm. He really was charming at times. He really was like had this underlying menacingness to him. He just like, was very captivating. And I can see it because oftentimes when you watch movies where it's like a couple in a foreign land, that it's hard to believe that they would put themselves in this situation. But he's just so like, he does have this charm, but he's very persistent as well. And so like you understand how like they could kind of get dragged into this very weird, because it really does go like very weird family, like Texas Chainsaw. And
it goes into hostile territory in places too. You're like, the Texas Chainsaw family thing falls into it too. It's
that whole last act is very, very influenced. Like if you like The Beyond, it's very in that way. If you like a lot of like full cheese work, and the score is phenomenal. It's by this group called Morricone Youth. It's hard.
I kind of know that one of the dudes from. I don't know him super well, but this composer is Devin Goldberg, who he was in a band down here called Creedle. And when I saw his name pop up, I'm like, oh fuck yeah, he's still doing movie scores, because I hadn't seen one, but yet the group he composes for is Morricone Youth, and I was waiting to see if like maybe some of the other Creedle guys or anybody else was in it, so I waited for the end credits, and I don't know any of the other guys who played on it, but the guy who recorded it I went to college with. His name's Ben Moore, and he's an engineer and a producer now, but he's also a badass keyboard player. But anyway, so I kind of know the some of the music people behind that. But you're right, the score is like it has all these weird like vocalization looping, and it's almost like at times it almost seems like Morricone, like Western.
It's very heavily influenced by Morricone and Goblin, which
Yes, yeah.
those are two of my favorites. So like you had me when that Sith went hard in certain places. So yeah, if you love films like The Sect, The Church, the Beyond, Eight Eyes,
And if you love movies with good scores, is this? I wonder if this score is going to hit. I mean,
It just got released on vinyl today, actually.
really,
really?
what? Who did it? I was going to say it won't be shipped to shore, R.I.P. Ah, but it's not waxwork though, is it?
No, hold on. I just saw it posted. Morricone Youth. They're selling it off of the website.
Okay, so did they press it themselves?
I guess.
Okay, well,
Hell yeah.
all right.
Well,
That's awesome because the score is great. I need to track that down.
yeah,
Well, it's available now, or rather, available for pre-order.
yeah. Go get the score. Watch it on Shudder. Vinegar Syndrome also put out a gorgeous Blu-ray with slipcover, case, all that fun jazz, all the features that you would expect from Vinegar Syndrome. And yeah, check it out. And also don't keep an eye out because the next Martell Vinegar Syndrome collaboration, Black Eyed Susan, is coming soon as well. They just announced and released a trailer for that. So yeah.
Did you guys see the new Speak No Evil?
No, not yet.
I feel like I have because that trailer has been playing before every fucking movie for the last 7 months.
I think I've seen it at least 25 times.
I don't watch trailers, but just the number of times I've accidentally seen it because of movies that I've had to go see in the theater. Like they played it before Strange Darling, they played it before Trap, they played it before In a Violent Nature, I've seen that trailer so many times. It is a remake of the Danish movie that is on Shudder from just a few years ago. But this is like an English language version. This isn't just like Michael Haneke remaking his movie with an A-list cast in English, though. The first 2 acts is pretty straightforward with the Danish one. And this is James McAvoy and I'm blanking on it, Mackenzie Davis. This one is so it does have like an A-list cast and it is in English, but it is the first 2 acts follow pretty straight. It's about these 2 families that meet while they're on vacation, and one of them invites the other to their farm, and they go, and of course, nothing goes well.
It goes bad.
Yeah, it really goes bad. The third act is completely different. It's completely, and it's the guy. I think his name's James Watkins. He did that Daniel Radcliffe movie from like 10 years ago, The Woman in Black. He did The Woman in Black. I think he purposely wanted to make it. He basically Hollywoodized the ending of this movie because whereas the original is just real nihilistic and just depressing, this one is a little more like there's a little more fight in the quote victims. So it becomes more of like a typical. It's almost like a home invasion movie, but the people being invaded are the guests, it's that kind of a thing, but it's really interesting. It's pretty well done. I was glad that they didn't just do a straight remake of it. Because I mean, who needs that? If it's just, I mean, unless you're Michael Haneke doing it, no one wants to see that, but, it is different enough that it's cool.
Yeah, I was interested in checking it out because honestly, I wasn't even really a big fan of the original See No Evil, but I've had friends who said this version was more interesting, so I'd like to give it a chance.
What was if your problem with the original See No Evil was the third act, definitely see this because
it wasn't even that it was nihilistic or brutal. It was just I felt like the characters were undeveloped and just the theme was off point what they were going for in the original finished version. So I'd like to see it give it another go with this American version.
You might like this one better because it does delve into the characters, especially the guests who in this one they're Americans that moved to London, but yeah, those ones that they are more well developed. And I was bummed when in the trailer, it looks like the trailer, knowing the original one, it looks like the trailer gives away a massive spoiler, but it's not really, it's not as massive of a spoiler in this one as it would have been in the original. So even if you've seen the trailer 20 times, you, it won't really spoil what the fun stuff. And James McAvoy, holy cow, that guy. There's nothing he can't do. He looks like he even bulked up for this, even more
Like
than
Split.
well, even more than for Split. He
Oh.
looks like there's points where he's running around in just a tank top, and you're like, is that CG? He looks like the freaking Hulk, you know? But yeah, it's pretty crazy.
And also on my end, the best time of year has finally begun. It's Beyond Fest, one and all.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. For those of you who don't know, Beyond Fest is the annual genre-based film festival that the American Cinematheque does, and it's going to be quite literally the biggest one ever because we've got the Arrow, Egyptian, and Los Feliz theaters screening movies every day for over 2 weeks straight.
What is because I feel like almost every screening you go to, you say is a Beyond Fest screening. Do they do screenings throughout the year, but then
Yeah,
they
they do screenings
concentrate
throughout
it?
the year. They just this is the actual festival. Like Beyond
Okay,
Fest as an organization does do
okay.
screenings basically at least once or twice a month, give or take, especially with newer releases. But Beyond Fest, the actual festival, is like always late September into early October. And they kick things off with a hell of a bang. Like we did a screening of RRR on Tuesday with the one of the lead stars NTR there because we're also screening his new movie Deva Part One or last night, and things really kicked off last night at the Arrow with the world premiere and I think only theatrical screening of the brand new Salem's Lot adaptation.
How was it? Did you watch it?
I did watch it, and actually, I thought it was pretty solid. I was surprised that they were able to fit it into 1 hour and 55 minute movie.
That's my question is because the original it was like a mini series, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, the original
Or
was a
a
miniseries,
two-parter?
and then there
Yeah.
was the 2000s miniseries, and yeah, so it's a lot to do. But they did, I will say, they did take some creative changes to the story, especially in the second half. But they were fun, and it kept me on my toes because again, it's been adapted twice, and there was a sequel to the original by Larry Cohen, and
Hell
the
yeah.
book's been out forever. Oh, that was the other cool thing. Like, the first 100 people to go to the screening got a free copy of Stephen King's Salem's Lot, the novel.
Ah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and I'm glad I got one because I've always wanted to read it, so finally I can sit down and do it. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's a damn shame that it's only going to be streaming because it's a Max thing, WB Max, because originally it was supposed to be theatrical, and then like it got shelved for God knows how many years, and people were afraid it was going to get axed for a tax break. So at the very least, it's hitting streaming October 3rd, so you can see it, which thank God for that.
Oh, I will. Don't you worry. I fucking love Salem's Lot. And I'm so excited for Beyond Fest this year. We before we got before we got sick, we were like first in line online to get tickets, and unfortunately, the screening of Speed with the original director and Keanu Reeves and Sandy Bullock sold out like immediately. But we were able to get tickets to tomorrow's screening of the new Shush cut of Hush.
Oh, I'm going to that
Uh,
too.
Oh yeah, with Mike Flanagan and Kate Siegel there.
Oh yes.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. I already have the 4K pre-ordered, but very excited for that screening. And then on Sunday, I didn't even realize these screenings were happening at the same place on the same day. So it's going to be a long ass day. But we got tickets to the Sam Raimi triple feature, which is probably the best triple feature of Sam Raimi you could do.
You got
It's
Darkman, you got The Quick and the Dead, you got Drag Me to Hell.
exactly. And I rarely ever see screenings of any of those movies, let alone all three together. So I'm excited.
And Sam Raimi himself is going to be there, and they're going to play a short film by his daughter.
Oh, really? I didn't know about the short film. That's awesome. Hell yeah, dude.
It's going to be, I think, either before or in between the movies.
That's a good way to get people to see your daughter's films. Put three of your like absolute bangers out.
Look, Sam Raimi's a good
around it.
dad, you know?
Hey, this is the year of good dad filmmakers between him and Shyamalan, like just promoting the shit out of their daughters. I
I was
love
going to
it.
say Shyamalan basically making a movie so his daughter can have a concert film. Sure.
Love it. Oh, I love it.
You love to see
Oh,
it.
yeah.
And also
then,
you're doing The Fall that night too. The new
yeah.
screening of The Fall.
Yeah, the new 4K restoration of The Fall. So that's going to be 4 movie or 5 with the short film.
Yep, and I'm doing that
session
full
at
run
the
myself.
Egyptian. You are?
Yep, I will be there.
Can you help keep me awake because like I can't really have energy drinks right now? And
Can I have permission
get
to poke you with a stick?
uh small? Yeah, sure.
Okay, because
Sure.
I'll be poking you.
Okay. Just no tender spots. No tender spots.
All right,
It wouldn't be the first time. Let's not forget the Beyond Fest screening where I got shot in the nards at a Monster Squad screening.
you sure did with a t-shirt cannon.
Of course, it's Beyond Fest. Of course, it was a t-shirt cannon.
Well, yeah, it's just well for listeners, we got to give context because you just said you were shot in the nards. Like,
Oh yeah,
we need to tell them what you were shot with.
Beyond Fest is more obsessed with t-shirt cannons than a fucking hockey rink. They love their t-shirt cannons. They love shooting t-shirts. And yeah, at a screening of Wolfman's Got Nards and the documentary about Monster Squad and Monster Squad, they asked if anyone wanted to get shot in the nards with the t-shirt cannon. And I think I was not only the first to raise my hand, but the most enthusiastic. And so, yeah, Sean shot me in the nards with the t-shirt cannon. And it was great. And I still have that Cronenberg for President shirt to this day.
Me too. I was wearing it last night. Mine last night too. Also, Jonathan's got nards.
I had. I don't know about anymore after that.
One more thing that I saw that isn't quite horror, but I still think people really need to see it. Have you guys heard about A Different Man?
Yes, I've heard about it. I've been interested in seeing it.
It's really interesting. It kind of walks the line of horror because it kind of walks a lot of lines. It's sort of a black comedy and like an intellectual drama, but it also does kind of go into psychological horror. It's about a guy who has this facial deformity. He's played by Sebastian Stan, and he's like a struggling actor. And then he goes in for this experimental medical procedure that basically fixes his face, and he starts looking like Sebastian Stan. And his neighbor is a struggling playwright, and when he gets his new face, he basically starts a new life. And he changes his name and he starts selling real estate instead of, acting. And his neighbor, the playwright, misses her friend. So she writes a play about the old him. And he goes and auditions for the part of himself. And his big competition for it is another actor who has that facial deformation. It's played by Adam Pearson, who is he was the guy in Under the Skin who escaped from Scarlett Johansson initially, who has the facial deformations. But he's also been in a couple of other movies. But the director, Adam Schimberg, he Adam Pearson is now his muse, kind of, because he wrote this movie for him. And it's weird because there's even a little discussion in it about exploitation and where do you draw the line, because it's ostensibly about this woman's play. Her name's Ingrid, and she's played by the woman from The Worst Person in the World. And she's all, do I find somebody with this condition to play the part of this person, or do I use makeup? She's all, because would it be exploitational to use a person with that condition, or hire the most talented actor, that can pull it off with makeup, kind of a thing. And that discussion kind of parallels what is going on in the movie too. But honestly, the Adam Pearson character, his name's Oswald. He's probably the most redeemable character in the movie. And I'm really glad that they're given this actor a role he can chew on, because the character is like super intelligent, super charming, super talented. And the only thing is he's got this face thing going on. But when you see beyond that, you're like, oh, this guy has it going on, and that's kind of the point of the whole movie, is like, the this quote monster is really the only relatable character in the movie. But it honestly, Adam Pearson, there are two front runners for Oscars in my opinion. Best supporting, Adam Pearson for A Different Man, and best actor, Coleman Domingo in Sing Sing. Those are the front runners. You heard it here first.
Oh yeah, no. Coleman Domingo was amazing in Sing Sing, so I'd be interested in comparing.
Well, they'll be in different categories because Sebastian Stan is the lead in A Different Man, but
Right,
Adam
right.
Pearson steals the movie though.
Well, before we head out, I just want to let everyone know it's okay. I did it so you don't have to. And I watched all the Stepford Wives sequels this past weekend. Except for Husbands, I cannot track down a copy of Husbands outside of paying $40 for a VHS tape. But I did, for whatever reason, found out that there are made-for-TV sequels to the original Stepford Wives. There's three of them. There's Revenge of, the Stepford Children, and then the Stepford Husbands. And you don't need to watch them. It's fine. It's like Revenge of the Stepford Wives is basically a made-for-TV rehash of the first movie with like maybe a little bit of continuation. It's fine. It does kind of end with a lot of the Stepford Wives kind of just beating the shit out of people, which is fun. But that's about it. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the Stepford Children, because that film you need to track down and watch. I believe there's a copy on the Internet Archive, not to promote that type of viewing, but there is. Seek it out. It's amazing. It opens. It's the same plot that you've seen a bajillion times with the Stepford Wives, but it's the teenagers, and the writing for the teenagers at the beginning of this movie, they're typical angsty teenagers. The dialogue is clearly written by someone who's middle-aged to sound like a teenager, played by a 20-something-year-old, and it is incredible. It is after school special. This isn't a costume; it's a lifestyle, but way worse. Type of angst. But the real highlight is towards the end, it just goes off the rails because the Stepford Wives always had that weird, like, wait, are they fully replacing people with robots? Are they cloning them? Are they just reprogramming the bodies? It's a little confusing, and they kind of like show in the first movie that it is, but definitely in the sequels, they lost their way of like explaining what the fuck are the Stepford Wives. But in the third one, they fully show you what they were doing, and they don't fully explain if it's like full robot or full clone because there's some weirdness. But the fact that it did go into some like body horror stuff in this 87 made for TV movie is just really cool. And then it just abruptly ends. It's great. It's a fun watch. So yes, highly recommend the Stepford Children.
All right, cool. Well, with that, let's call this one an episode. Sorry we lied to you about saying we were going to come back in 2 weeks with a topic because it was a month and we had no topic, but maybe next time. I don't know. You can't trust me. Except you can trust me when I say that our theme music is by Restless Spirit, so go give them a listen. And our artwork is by Chris Fisher, so go give him a like. And that you can find us on all of the socials under Eye on Horror or at iHorror.com, which is the site we all call home. And yeah, that's going to do it for this episode. So I hope you like hearing us talk because that was a lot of what this was. And we'll see you next time. I'm just going to say that to not make a liar out of me. So for me, James J. Edwards.
I'm Jacob Davison.
And I'm Jonathan Correia.
Keep your eye on horror.